I'm so pumped right now. I'm sorry to cut you off. This is amazing.
Yeah.
So this is your second time knocking, correct? Or your first time knocking, you found this guy.
The second time knocking in that neighborhood.
Okay, so in that neighborhood, you knocked two times and you
Yes.
just found somebody that you're now showing homes to and about to list their house.
Yes.
And in your market, what is the average purchase price?
For a single family detached is 1.2. I did notice when I went the second time to door knock in the same neighborhood, people are more open. And I was shocked with how many personal information they will disclose right off the bat. So
That's awesome.
just to share from my personal experience. And actually right now I'm not gonna say I might. I'm looking forward to have a listing and to buy a house for these guys.
The
And
incredible.
yeah, and that happened right after we had the coaching call last time. So I kind of was and that guy I met him for the first time, and he was so open, and I aimed for an appointment. I went and I did a listing presentation. We sat there like for 2 hours.
Wow.
It was a lot, but we did go kind of through multiple scenarios. I prepared for him like a spreadsheet, which options would be the best for him. So just to give you a bit of background, he's in a tiny townhome with 2 adults and 4 children, and they really need a bigger space.
Yeah.
So at the beginning, the conversation was he was more into pre-sale, but that is like on the long run, right?
Mhm.
And I said, hey, just to let you know, you can find something that will fit your needs cheaper and you can move fast. So we had a viewing yesterday, the second one with his family, and they liked it. It's just we would need to put a subject to sell on our offer because he wants to submit an offer. And now
I'm so pumped right now. I'm sorry to cut you off. This is amazing. So this is your second time knocking, correct? Or your first time knocking, you found this guy.
The second time knocking in that neighborhood.
Okay, so in that neighborhood, you knocked two times and you
Yes.
just found somebody that you're now showing homes to and about to list their house.
Yes.
And in your market, what is the average purchase price?
For a single family detached is 1.2.
Wow.
We're talking.
Keep in mind the commission is half than you get, guys.
Yeah, it's a commission's a little lame where you're at, which we'll forgive you for. It's okay.
Okay.
But still, I mean, that's insane, the success that can come from knocking doors. I mean, congratulations. That's super.
Thank you. I'm blown away. And as I said, I did door knocking last year I started in October. I did it for 2 months and I did not have any strategy. I would just door knock, right? And I wouldn't go anywhere with that strategy. And then I came across with your training, and then like digging deeper at the door, it's worth it. And then your strategy looks like it's working, and it's providing
Glad to
results.
hear it.
Yeah, so it's we just have to be consistent. That's the thing.
That's what it comes down to. Totally. And that's the amazing part is, I mean, you've been knocking a couple of times now. Imagine if you did this for 6 months to 12 months. I mean, your business and life would change completely. It would look completely different. And I mean, that's what gets me so excited about people that are putting in the effort and seeing results and seeing successes. All you have to do is actually put in the effort, and it's a numbers game at that point. All you have to do is just implement. And so I'm super excited. I know in the past, some of these calls have been more informational. Today, I want to get through every single person on this call to do multiple role plays, at least 1 or 2 each, to go through objections you guys are seeing in the market, objections you're handling. If you haven't gone knocking yet, break down a script for you so you can get out and get started. And so I pretty much want this call to just be practicing role playing and asking questions, learning from each other so we can all get better. And so I want to test something real quick, so bear with me. I got a new tool that will hopefully assist in learning. So can you see the whiteboard screen? Is it just white?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Can you see me at all, or is it just completely white?
completely white.
Okay, cool. Do you see this?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, it's gonna be killer chicken scratch. It's gonna be real bad, but it's gonna help to write down numbers, break down numbers, how to break down the numbers for a seller so you can see how to write it out and such when we get to objections like that. So glad that's working. Just wanted to double check that. Okay, let's jump right into it. Does anybody else have a pressing question that they want to ask, cover, go over before we jump into role plays, practicing scenarios, and handling objections?
I have one. Just so if so I connect with people, I put them on hot sheets. There are some conversations. So when it's about time to go again in that neighborhood, do I still knock on that person's door, or because the conversation might be, it's not like a progression. It's like with ups and downs, right? And if you're at the point when like they don't respond, and if I go there and knock on their door, I don't want to look like I'm stalking or like hey.
They're desperate. Yeah. So it's very dependent on the scenario. So when is the last time you knocked on the person's door, and how did the conversation end when you last talked to them?
Well, it's about 2 months, but this guy is he told me that he wants to buy an investment property somewhere in August. I gave him I sent him the hot sheets based on his searching criteria. He looked at it, he picked few of them. I know what he's looking for, but now he's kind of, it's getting from hot to lukewarm. Do I still knock on his door?
Yes, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. So I recommend, if you have a lead like that you have on a hot sheet, and it's been 2 or 3 months since you had an in-person conversation with them, absolutely knock on the door again. The conversation I would have is just like, hey, I was in the neighborhood. I was actually meeting with your neighbor. I just wanted to check in on you. How are you doing? Not real estate related. You don't pitch them. You don't say, hey, have you thought more about investing or selling your home? Just check in on them like a normal person, and just have that conversation to really just be genuine, just actually try to help them out and care for their situation. So that's what I would do, is every 2 to 3 months, you definitely want to be re-knocking your hot and lukewarm clients that you've met in the past.
Okay.
Cool.
Hey, Cameron, I have a quick question. I don't want to take too much from your time with the role play.
No, you're great. This is what we're here for.
Yeah, I haven't door knocked yet, but I want to jump on this call just to see what's going on and really take notes. One thing I really wanted to ask you is, I know you've prefaced by saying, the townhomes and condoms are, a better target, and it makes complete sense because they're starter homes. What did you do when you came across, when you wanted to go into condominiums, for example, but for example, there's a lobby and it's locked, like how, not that all the condos are like that, but there are some that, I do want to target where I don't know how to even go into to the complex, for example.
Totally.
Just out of curiosity, just want to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, sadly, I am probably not the best person to ask that, because that type of complex doesn't really actually exist in my market. There's very rare where a condo complex is locked or gated here in Utah. But I will say is there's tons of agents. I'm listening. The similar situation, where the best thing you can do is actually circle prospect that condo community from a phone call standpoint. So if you can get with a title company that can pull the homeowners of that neighborhood, you can pull the addresses, send mailers or whatever. And as long as you can get in once, you can usually get in more than once after that. Because if you say you set up an appointment with somebody, or you call somebody and say, hey, I want to bring you by a market report on your home, can you buzz me into your condo complex? Then you can go door to door and bring by market reports and such. And so it's really just getting creative with how to get into the complex initially. There isn't really a silver bullet for like hacking the system and getting access, you know.
Right.
So
I
might have something to add to that. I'm not sure who asked. I'm trying to do my day job and listen in here, so I'm not sure who asked that question, but I had a similar situation with a condo complex I live in, and I started sending like these mailer or these like postcards that you can write in. So I've been writing, my spiel, so to speak, and putting a business card in, and just mailing out like a little letter. And my brokerage pays for this, so it's free to me. They pay for everything. I just have to write out the letter. It's actually writing it though, because a senior agent in my office had got 2 deals by writing out 24 letters, and he said that handwriting them out has a bigger impact. So I'm taking his lead, and I'm on about 30 or so handwritten letters so far.
Interesting.
But that's a different way to look at it. You can't really door knock because they just don't let you in, so you can only do so much. But that's, I would guess, you can call that a plan B.
Casper, what I did once, I hosted an open house for the listing agent, and that gave me kind of the access to the building. And then it's even better when you go and invite people for an open house event. So
makes sense.
yeah.
Very nice.
That's super smart. Yeah, genius. If you can if you see a listing in that complex, now you're just prospecting the agent, say, hey, can I hold an open house for you? I'd love the opportunity. And then to market that open house, you're now door knocking the neighbors, and you are inviting to the open house, but in reality, you're getting your own deals. So
right. No, very nice. And I think you guys are right. You got to think outside the box. Otherwise, you're just not going to make it, it's hard.
And honestly, everything that each person has said is all about consistency. So if you're writing letters, if you're consistent with it, deals will come. If you're doing open houses and you're consistent with it, again, deals will come. And so it's totally based off of just being consistent. And so cool. Anybody else have questions that?
Yes, Carmen. Hi, good morning. My name is Sam. Yeah, I have a question. I have been door knocking in my farm for 1 year, but I haven't gotten any CMA yet. So I'm thinking, is there a way for me, such as to hold events in my farm to, to create the opportunity to face-to-face talk to people? Is this a good idea, or do you have any idea to help me to break through in my farm?
Yeah, totally. So for the events side of things, I fully recommend that. From a door knocking perspective, I knock doors in 4 different ways throughout the year. My initial approach when I first talk to somebody, and that is when I try to pretty much sell them or get an appointment or gain a lead. After that, the second time I knock that door, or the follow-up in a sense, is when I just have a follow-up conversation to see if there's anything I can do for them. The third conversation is then a CMA on the neighborhood of what homes are selling for. And then the fourth conversation is an invite to a client event, which you can hold in the neighborhood. If you wanted to, if there was a park, or if there was a parking lot or cul-de-sac or whatever it may be, throw an event there and then invite all the neighbors to it. And so I totally recommend that. And if you've been knocking for a year without any success, I would probably consider how many conversations you're having, and then also opening yourself up to other farms that may be something you can look into, where you have not just one farm, having multiple that you knock consistently, so you have a better chance of growing your business.
Okay, I got it. Yeah.
Perfect.
Thank you, Carmen.
You're welcome.
I have one more question, Cameron.
Yeah.
So I went door knocking, I want to say like a month ago, and I got this one guy as a lead. He was super hot. He said he desperately wanted to move. But so I've been following up with him with emails. I've re-knocked him a couple times. I got his phone number, all that stuff. But he just doesn't respond to the emails. And when I go back, he still says that he wants to move, but he just doesn't want to respond. Like, have you ever ran into that? Like, he's super weird.
Yeah, there's two types of people usually. There's the complacent person that is just, I'm good, like I don't really want to do anything, but they will say all the right things. They're like, yeah, I want to move, but they don't ever take action. And then there's the person that will then actually do something, even if they don't know what they want to do. It's either a no, we're going to wait, or it's a yeah, let's move. And so with that type of person, you're saying that they do respond to emails, or no?
They don't.
Okay. When's the last time you personally knocked the door?
I want to say 3 weeks ago.
And did they answer?
Yeah.
What was that conversation like?
I barely remember, but I got his phone number. I remember that. And he told me after he gave me his phone number to not call him.
Gotcha. So realistically, there's, I hate to give you this answer, but the answer is there's more fish in the sea. That's the mindset I want you to have, is if you're hyper focused on one person, you lose track of all the other opportunities around you. And that's why you want to stay consistent with knocking, put them on a hot sheet, put them on a marketing plan where you know you're going to follow up with them, you know you're going to re-knock that door, and then go hunt other business in the meantime. Because as long as you're top of mind, sending emails and such, that is going to get that person to reach out to you when the time is right, and you can't determine when that time is right for that person. So just finding more business is probably the answer.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Absolutely. Nicole, I know you were posting on the Facebook group that you got some questions for me. What tell me about your week.
Well, I went door knocking last Saturday. I started at, I think it was the hours that I chose. I'm in Arizona. It's extremely hot here right now.
For sure.
So yeah, I think that day it was supposed to be like 114. So my plan was to do from 10 to 2. I started at 10. At first, a few people were opening their doors, but I got a lot of people not opening their doors. And I noticed around like 11:30, maybe around 11, more people started opening up their doors. So around that time, I started having more conversations. So I think maybe starting at 10, maybe I should start a little later, but it's so hot here, even during the evening, it's still like 110, at like 6 or 7. So, but anyways, what I was saying in the group was the biggest objection that I got was, I have bad credit. My credit is not right. And then I got a lot of people, the area that I knocked in, a couple of owners actually owned the condo outright. And I went with the whole, is this your forever home? But I forgot to follow up with, would you consider, renting this out and maybe purchasing something else? Because when they would tell me it's their forever home, I kind of would just, say, okay, and then I would go. So I see that you're saying that once we've already knocked the neighborhood, my thing is, what is your follow-up? How often should you go back and re-knock it? How often are you sending out? I know the monthly email thing, I've never even done one before. So I was going to ask you too, what is like a template of a monthly email that you would send out to these people? Because I did get a couple of people that were, one guy, I felt like he said that he wanted to buy, but he just moved here and he just got a job here. So he was waiting for that, to get more job history and that kind of thing. But he
Gotcha.
gave me his email. He said he was really interested in the monthly letter. So I was like, okay, great. But I just feel like it was my first time. So, the questions weren't flowing as I wanted them to flow. I think I needed to practice more.
Yeah. Practice makes perfect, which is totally makes sense. I mean, if it's your first time, it's totally understandable. So from a follow-up standpoint, I would be doing a weekly or monthly email. Depends on your comfort level of how often you want to be blowing people up. And then from a knocking standpoint, I would try to knock a person's door 4 times a year, just like I was just saying, where you pretty much are knocking on their door every 2 to 3 months, where you're in person talking to them. Outside of that, you're also calling them or sending them emails or potentially sending them marketing material in the mail. So there's many different ways to do a follow-up system. For me, the only 2 things I did were re-knocking the door and the monthly email. That's really all I did. And then of course, on top of that, when it was a hot or warm lead, I put them on a hot sheet where I was sending them properties consistently. Regarding the responses in the conversations, it takes practice and learning, and that's why we do these calls. And so if somebody is saying, hey, I'm waiting for my job, do you know if he was self-employed or employed by a W-2?
See, I was so excited because I had a lot of people, they weren't answering the door. They would just tell me, no, they didn't want to sell. So I was so excited that he was like, yeah. I said, well, can I have your email? And I was so excited that he gave me his email. I didn't even think to ask that question. I was like, thank you so much, Ryan.
it was a win and you were ready to
Right.
run with it. So that's totally okay. That's fine. But the one thing I want to preface is a lot of the time it's a lack of education for the person on the other side of the door. Because a lot of the time, like, for example, did you know that college can actually count as employment for somebody to buy a home? Most people don't.
I just found that out.
Yeah. And so it's fantastic the scenarios you can build for people with more and more education. And so being able to be face to face with that person on the door and educate them on that makes you a market professional and then wins their business really quickly. And so we haven't done a credit role play in a long time. And so I would actually like to start with you to role play somebody saying bad credit, and then we'll move on to everybody else so we can all get a chance to role play today. But you want to start with that? You cool with doing a role play? Okay, fantastic. I will let me pull up the recorder and we can get going. All right. I am the homeowner, you're the agent, so go for it.
Okay, knock knock.
Hey there.
Hi, I'm Nicole with the Jason Mitchell Group. Did your neighbor tell you I was stopping by?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so I'm sorry. Have you ever thought about buying or I'm all off track, sorry. Have you ever thought about selling your property?
Not at the moment. I kind of went through a situation where my credit's not great right now, so I don't think it would be super smart for me to buy currently.
Okay, are you aware of the requirements to qualify for a loan when it comes to credit?
I'm not super familiar. I didn't answer your previous question. I've never bought a house. I'm actually renting this one, and so I don't know a whole ton about it.
Okay. What I pivoted to when someone did tell me that, I said, well, could I get you over to my lender to discuss the minimum credit requirements? Okay,
so let's pause there. So I like pushing them to a lender, but there's 2 problems with that. One, the approval process is horrible. If you've ever bought a house, all the paperwork, all the stuff you have to give somebody, it's a ton of work. And so people get deterred. They see an application and they're like, nope, just kidding. I don't want to do this anymore, because you're not at the door anymore to talk them through it, convince them. And so pretty much if you leave, send an application, they then don't have that excitement and then
Okay.
you never hear back from them. The
Okay.
other problem is you want to win their business as their realtor, not just pitch them to a lender, because they could
Okay.
go to a lender and then think, oh, wait, my sister's a realtor, and go use somebody else. So
Right.
majority of the time as a door knocking real estate agent, as a real estate in general, you pretty much become every single occupation on the planet. You become a contractor, a therapist, a financial advisor, everything. And so during that conversation, if somebody says, hey, I'm a renter, I don't know the process, I have bad credit, you want to ask as many questions to determine their education level. So, okay, no worries. What is your credit at? Because some people are like, oh, I don't have great credit, and it's like a 680. And you're like,
Right.
you can 100% buy a house with 680 credit, you know? And so asking those discovery questions to determine the outcome is going to be your best bet, because all you care about is starting to send them homes, because once they find a home they like, you can then say, okay, great, let's run some numbers, let's get you to a lender. And honestly, the conversation then can go through you running numbers for them, where you're like, yeah, I can walk you through what you could most likely be approved for, just for us to get a ballpark, and then we can get you approved with an actual lender down the road, you know? So there's lots of avenues to go when somebody says bad credit. For example, you want to ask them pretty much like, do you have kind of the basic questions? Do you have money for a down payment? Have you looked into 0% down programs? Have you looked at getting a co-signer? Asking all of those type of questions, educate them on like, oh, I didn't even think I could get a co-signer, or, oh, I didn't know I had options of doing 0% down. And then from there, it's just building a relationship, because the bad credit objection, it's usually very solvable with the right questions and the right, because if somebody hasn't bought a house before, that means they don't have a realtor, and it's actually probably one of the best leads out there. And so that's a neighborhood I would totally re-knock and be prepared with, like, hey, I know last time we talked about bad credit, I wanted to provide you with some information. You can even make a little infograph for people, print it out and give it to them. That's a way you could solidify your business in their mind. So
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, who would like to go next for a role play? Don't be shy, or I'm just going to call on people. We're just going to go up the ladder. Mason.
I'll go.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, John, perfect. And then I'll come back to you, Mason. Okay, Jan, go for it. Give me a knock. I'm just gonna, well, I'll ask you this. Is there a specific objection you want to work on, or do you want me to just make something up as if it was a real scenario?
Just make yourself up.
Okay, fantastic. Let's do it.
Yeah. Knock, knock.
Hey there.
Hi, my name is Jon. I'm a local real estate agent. Did your neighbor let you know that I'm gonna stop by?
I don't think so.
Don't worry. Did you know that there are a few active listings in your neighborhood?
I've seen a couple signs. I haven't looked into it a whole ton though.
Yeah, both of them are 3 bedrooms, 3 baths, and they go for 700.
Wow.
Have you ever? Yeah, can you imagine?
Yeah, it's crazy. I never thought this property would go for that high.
Have you ever thought selling your home?
Not right now. I'm kind of hoping for a job promotion, and once I get that, we'll potentially think about it, just once there's a little bit more income.
Okay, so obviously this is not your forever home, right?
No, yeah, not our forever home. We hope to get into like a single family eventually.
And if everything lines up as you would like with your job, what kind of home are you planning to buy?
I'd be looking into just something a little bit bigger, maybe 1 or 2 more bedrooms, and then just disconnected, have our own yard. So maybe 4 or 5 bedroom with our own yard.
5 bedrooms, okay. And square footage wise,
I don't
what
know.
that would be? You don't know?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, if I would send you houses, if I could find a house that will hit your searching criteria. So would you be open for a discussion?
Probably not right now, just because of I'm just not ready yet with my job.
Yeah. Well, I would love to be to stay in touch with you, and whenever the time is right with you, would that be okay?
Yeah, let's pause there. Good job. So the objection I gave you, what type of objection was it?
The job promotion.
Timing, yeah.
So is it timing though? Because I said I'm waiting for a job promotion, which means I need X before I do X.
Is the money, right? The budget.
Money, you got it. It's money. And so my entire objection was a smokescreen of like, yeah, I'm waiting for a promotion. But the real problem was I wanted to make more money before I made a move because I wanted to be more comfortable. And so the questions you needed to be asking were, how much more money do you need to make? Is it a monthly payment problem? Is it a purchase price problem? What type of promotion are we talking about? Are we talking about a $50,000 promotion, or are we talking about a $20,000 promotion? Or is it a problem where do you have other debt currently, where if we were able to sell this home, pay off that debt, and buy a new home, and your payment doesn't change at all, would it make sense then without you even making any more money? All of those are potential solutions to this person's problem by just asking those questions. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So the really, and this is really hard to do, it's important to determine what the person's true objection is during the conversation. Very challenging to do. It takes time of just listening to conversations over and over because they never change. Objections are almost all the same. There's the money objection, the true timing objection, there's the bad credit objection, there's my family member's a realtor objection, and then there's just I can't afford anything objection, which is kind of money, but the majority of the time all the same. And so over time you get used to those questions. And so in that scenario, when somebody brings up, I need more money, or I'm waiting for a promotion, you want to be asking those questions of, okay, tell me about it. What type of house are you trying to get into? And is the monthly payment what scares you, and that's why you're hoping for the promotion before doing something, or what's kind of holding you back? And then now the conversation goes to, yeah, we've run the numbers, and the mortgage on the new house we bought is $1,000 more than what we're paying right now. And you're like, okay, yeah, I mean, that's a pretty good jump. Do you have any other outstanding debt other than your mortgage? And he's now, yeah, I have a car payment and some credit card and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, what is that total? He's like, roughly $800. And you're like, okay, well, if I could help you restructure your debt, where we sell this home, pay off that debt, and you're only now paying $200 more a month for the new home and being debt-free other than that, would that make sense for you to move sooner rather than later? Most homeowners are going to be like, wow, I've never thought about that. Let's look into it. Let's do the math, So that's what I hope to open your eyes to, is asking those type of questions accordingly. Any questions there on that?
That was well said.
Thank you. Cool. I called on Mason first. So Mason, you're up next. Jan, I want to make sure that was helpful. Do you?
No, that totally makes sense. I should have dug more about what's holds him back to not to make the move. And yeah,
that's why you're on these calls, is progression and getting better. So I'm glad you're here and glad I can help. Okay, Mason, any objection you want to go over? You want me to just do something random?
Yeah, the biggest one that I'm facing in my neighborhood that I'm knocking is either they're a renter or it's like an older person and they say it's their forever home.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah, we'll make something up.
Okay.
Go for it.
All right. Knock, knock.
Hey.
Hey, my name's Mason. I'm a realtor with Samson Properties. Did your neighbors happen to tell you I was stopping by?
No.
Okay, no worries. The reason I'm here is because the market's changed drastically. A lot of people don't know what it's going to do. Have you ever considered buying or selling your home?
I'm actually a renter. I don't own this house.
Okay, how much longer do you think you're going to be renting here for?
My lease is up in like 8 months.
Okay, well, where would you want to be looking to go in 8 months?
Haven't really thought about it. I mean, I may just renew here. I like where I live right now. But yeah, never really thought about it.
Okay, well, let me ask you this: where do you work currently? Is it far from here, or
It's like 15 minutes.
okay? Well, would you want to move closer to that job, or would you like to get into a better neighborhood?
No, I mean, 15 minutes isn't that far. I don't really care.
Okay, yeah, this is where I get stuck. I just don't know where to go.
Oh, perfect. No, I'm glad. So, you went in the direction of like, I said, hey, I'm a renter, and you're talking about like, okay, like where would you want to go when your lease is up? And you're talking about like location of like you kind of picked a route you wanted to go, and we're trying to convince me on like, if I can find the right place for you to live, then you'll do something or you'll switch something up. When in reality, there's so many other important factors that could apply to this person's life that matter way more than that. So for example, when I say, hey, I'm a renter, I liked your question of when's your lease up or how much longer do you plan on living here? That's great. That's exploratory because you now need to know this person can't move for 8 months, or their lease isn't up for 8 months. I've been able to get people out of leases before with months still on their contract. And so it's just being creative. And so when I respond with that, I would focus more on their situation of like, okay, yeah, cool. You're a renter, you have 8 more months on your lease. Have you thought about purchasing your own home? Have you thought about becoming your own landlord? Because now the conversation goes from, let's forget renting. I don't really care about your rental situation because I already know everything I need to know. You're renting and you have 8 months left. Like location we'll figure out. And so once we start talking about the buying process, if they're like, no, I've never really thought about it, and then you can start to ask more questions of like, okay, cool, like if you were to purchase your own home, would you buy it yourself? Would you buy it and rent to friends? Would you buy it with a friend? And now they're like, oh, I've never thought about all those options. And you're like, yeah, totally. I mean, if I could help you purchase your own home and build equity while somebody else is paying the payment, like you have roommates with you right now, would that be something you're interested in? Most renters are going to be like, wow, that'd be cool. I own my own house and have renters that pay my mortgage. And you're pretty much teaching them house hacking inadvertently from knocking on their door. And so those are the conversations I would ask a renter that hasn't thought about moving before, because you're opening their eyes up to the opportunity that real estate provides. The fact that homes appreciate on average between 5 to 8% year over year, where it's like, if I could give you a investment that makes you 5 to 8% on $400,000 a year, would you take it? Most people would, And so that's the conversation and route I would go is focus more on, hey, how long are you still in your lease? And then have you thought about buying? And here's the different options that could look like.
Right. Okay, I like that. So what would you say for someone that says that it's their forever home? Like, because I feel like sometimes they're just saying to get me off the door because they don't, I don't know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So a lot of people, when they respond with, oh yeah, this is my forever home, there's two different things that you can talk about. Forever home is either true, where it's like, no, like we're going to die here, like 100% forever home. Most people that have a forever home have a ton of equity, and you can talk to them about what they want to do with that equity. Is it just going to sit in your house, or do you want to leverage it? Have you thought about buying a investment property with your equity to make your retirement even better? Stuff like that. If they say forever home and you suspect that it's truly not their forever home, the question I would ask is, oh, totally cool. Is there anything you would change about your current home? And that opens up the conversation to go further, where if they're like, oh yeah, I mean, we would like to have a different kitchen or more space or whatever it may be. You can then speak more on that. But if they're like, no, like we're really not looking to go anywhere, that's a conversation where I don't waste a whole ton of time on, to be honest. I move on to the next door.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Can I say something really quick?
Yeah.
So my brokerage has title companies coming out to talk to us, and one of the title companies has this really cool software where you can, it's like you put a polygon on the map, you type in an address and then you put a polygon on the map, and within that specific area, it'll tell you who's a renter, who is an actual owner. It'll tell you how much equity is in the home. So you can actually tell if the, you know, if the home is completely paid off or like that. And that was very helpful for me when I was going out door knocking this Saturday. So if any, you know, I don't know if you guys have paired up with some title companies, but see what type of software that they can offer you guys. Maybe that may help to kind of differentiate, you know, who is an actual owner, who is an actual renter. And that way you can kind of have a better game plan when it comes to your objections too, because you'll know, oh, this person is a renter. This person actually owns the place.
Yeah. Fantastic.
And one more
Awesome.
question.
Yeah.
Like what's the best way, like asks for someone's contact info? Like once you're like when we feel like the conversation's ending, like how do you close it?
There's tons and tons of ways to do this, but the easiest way is just by providing value. When I was doing it, I would just say, hey, I love to keep the neighborhood in kind of it's changed a little bit, but pretty much I would say is I'd love to keep you in the loop of the values of the neighborhood. I send out market updates consistently. What's a good email for you? And so not asking, hey, can I have your email, or do you mind giving me your phone number or email? I ask, what is a good email for you? Where most people, when asked that way, they just are going to respond with like, oh yeah, it's this. And so the beginning of that, phrase it however you want, of like, hey, I'd love to invite you to my next client event. Hey, I'd love to send you over my next market update for homes in this neighborhood. Hey, I'd love to send you homes within your criteria that we spoke about today. What's a good email for you? Those are all ways to gain contact information at the end of conversation.
Okay.
I still feel that's kind of salesy though. If someone were to do that to me, I would pick up on that vibe. Like, well, I don't have to give you anything. You know, you didn't ask me. You know, so to me, I get what you're saying, but I still don't like that. Me, it comes off as salesy.
Yeah,
But
and truly it is a personal preference. If you want to ask in a different way, then
yeah,
cool.
I mean, some people might not think the same way I do, but when I ask further information, I'll say something along the lines of, you know, it'd be great if I could keep you in my email file instead of database. Nobody wants to be in a database, you know, feels more cold and impersonal. I think an email file is more like, oh, okay, it wants to keep you updated on emails, and where we would provide you items of value periodically in the form of maybe a newsletter, you know, something along those lines. My company does automated newsletters every month. So we just have to put them in there and it just happens. But I know that's not the case for everybody. So you might need to write the email yourself. But I think I picked, there's a book I'm reading, the Ninja book, and they talk about using the email file. So that way it seems like, you know, a little bit more, we're more personable. And I think that, like as Cameron saying, if you're able to provide value, I think that's what wants to pique them, or that piques their interest to want to be in your correspondence.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I got this new tool called homebot.ai. I don't know if you've heard about it at all, but it's like a monthly thing. You put their home address on there and their email, and it's like a monthly thing. It sends it to them, and it's like an interactive tool with like AI basically, and it shows the value of their home, like what they can afford if they sell their home, the equity and all that stuff. And it's really cool. So, and you can see like if they interact with it, like what they click on and what they change. And it brings like a way to follow up with them. So I'm trying to think of ways that I can like tell them I have this tool I'd like to put them on and get their email, not like to close them.
Yeah.
Smart. No, it's great. Okay, well, let's keep going. Joe, are you able to role play with your day job, or were you-
Yeah, I got a few more minutes. Yeah, I should be able to.
Cool. I will actually have to end this call a little bit sooner. I am actually speaking at a seminar at 11, and so we'll have to end around 10:55, but I want to make sure we get everybody in. So Joe, you're up. Let's go for it.
All right. Yeah, so the objection I'm getting is like not right now, but maybe 2 to 3 years or so. So I get them in my email file still, but so all right. So knock knock.
Hey,
Hey, how you doing? My name is Joe. I'm with Baird and Warner in Downers Grove here. Did your neighbors tell you I was coming by?
no, I didn't hear from anybody.
Okay, all right, good. Well, I'm not sure if you're aware, but inventory levels are still pretty low here, and just curious if you thought about selling anytime soon.
Well, we've thought about it, but probably not for a little bit. We just don't, we're just not ready right now.
Not ready right now. Okay, how long have you lived here?
We've lived here for about 4 years.
About 4 years. Okay. Were you guys looking to move? Do you have any idea at this point?
We are still, it's kind of up in the air, like it'll kind of depend on the timing, but probably within the vicinity of where we're at right now.
Okay. If I were to I have a software program that I use, and if I'm able to get you on it and send you homes that would fit your search criteria, would you be interested in looking at them?
I wouldn't want to necessarily put you through that work. We're just not ready for the time being, and it'll be a couple of years.
Okay. Well, I can put you in my email file, which will provide you items of value periodically, around once a month, and hopefully you find value in that. Would it be okay if I got your information, email address, and phone number?
Perfect. Okay, let's pause there. Good job. So from a timing objection, when somebody hits you with an objection like that, the biggest question you want to ask is to determine what's making them wait, because that didn't come up in the conversation. So if I were to say, yeah, wanting to wait a couple of years, my response would be like, okay, cool. Are you thinking like 3 to 5 years? Determining that hard and fast rule of like, yeah, we're probably waiting 3 years or so. Then I can ask, oh, okay, cool. Well, what's holding you back from moving sooner? Why kind of 3 years? And then that person has to give me the objection, the core meat of the true objection, where it's not just we're wanting to wait. It's, oh yeah, we're wanting to wait because my daughter's graduating high school and then we want to downsize, or in 3 years we'll have been in this house 7 years and that was kind of our goal for when we wanted to make our next move. Like all of these random things that people can come up with that you can now talk on. And so determining what their response is, you can then go into, oh, okay, so the plan was kind of 7 years from now, and it's only been about 3 or 4. If you could save money by moving sooner rather than later, is that something you'd consider? And now you're having a conversation with that person.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Perfect. So I would just make that small little tweak, and I think that'll make a big difference.
Yeah.
Any other questions on that?
No, I think that's the important thing, is like people, just being more aware of waiting doesn't necessarily help them, especially if they have equity. But on the other hand, if they have somebody, because I have kids in high school, and when they graduate, you're kind of stuck in a certain area until you can get them out of there. So I would see that being a hard objection to overcome, because I know the way I think about that.
Yeah, it is a hard objection, and a lot of the time with that objection, it's having the conversation of like, would you want to stay within the school district if you were to make a move? Is it location or is it home? And if it's home, then it's like, okay, cool, let's find you the right home within the school district. Or if it's location, then it's like, okay, well, if it's location, is it worth, what amount of money would it be worth to move locations and change schools? You know, and then it's a conversation of, is that even worth it? Because money's not everything to people. You know, it's like some people are like, no, I want to keep my kids in their school. And then it's like, perfect, let's stay in touch. I want to become your person when the time is right. And then you go from there.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. I'm trying to see who hasn't gone. Casper, you haven't gone, and Sam, you haven't gone, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I haven't gone. So my challenge is when I knocking on door and ask people, have you thought selling your home? And the people said no, and I left. So that's my challenge. I don't know how can I continue to ask their question, or should I left?
Yeah. So when somebody says, no, I haven't thought about selling my home, that's when you just want to ask as many more questions to understand why they haven't. And so some of the questions that have come up in these conversations is asking, is this your forever home? And so that question opens it up to, well, we're moving eventually, or no, we're staying here forever. So if somebody says, oh, no, not our forever home, then you can go to the conversation like we just had of like, okay, so when are you planning to make a move, or how long do you want to stay here? What's holding you back from moving sooner? Those are the type of questions that will open you up to get past somebody just saying no and being able to continue that conversation.
Okay, cool.
Okay, perfect. All right, we'll finish the call with Casper, one last role play, and then we'll finish up for today. And if I went too quickly through just specific objection or role play of yours, reach out to me. I'm happy to talk with you more about it, answer questions like always. Let me know how I can help. So Casper, finish us off. Take us home.
I've never done this. It'll be my first time, but yeah. I'm Kasparian. I'm a local broker. Did your neighbor happen to tell you I'd be coming by?
I haven't heard from anybody, no.
Okay, no worries. Yeah, as you know, inventory levels are extremely low right now, and we have a lot of buyers interested in this area. Have you ever thought about selling your home?
We not recently, just with the market changing quite a bit. But we definitely don't want to be here forever.
Okay. What type of home are you looking for exactly?
Just something a little bit bigger. We have 3 bedrooms right now, and we'll want 4, and then something hopefully with a basement.
Okay. Would you want to be in my email listing that I could send you for homes that come into the market and be in touch?
I mean, we haven't really thought about selling anytime soon, but we can stay in touch. Yeah.
Sure. I don't know what else.
No, it's great. Good, perfect start. I mean, you're asking the right questions. It's just knowing more questions to ask. And so what I would focus on is take a look at the question dictionary within the course and just review a bunch of those questions, because all of those questions just can facilitate a longer conversation. And so when I said, hey, we've thought about moving, we haven't really thought about it anytime soon though, because of the change in the market, that's when you want to start asking questions of like, okay, so what would the market need to look like for you guys to make a move? Or what's kind of turning you away from making a move because of the market? And now it's, oh, because our home price has gone down so much, we don't want to sell at a loss, or we don't want to overpay for a home with interest rates. And now you're able to handle the equity conversation, the interest rate conversation, and it's just by asking more questions and furthering the conversation.
Got it.
I know there's a lot to that, and you'll learn as we go, and on these calls and stuff, we can role play more. And so feel free to reach out to me, send me an email. That's what I'm here for. If you're knocking a door and you're recording yourself, send me the email. I will personally write back to you and say, hey, this is what I would have said. This is what I would have changed. I'm happy to get back to you in that sense, because I personally want to help you succeed. And so I would love to see you guys post that stuff in the Facebook page. post your objections you're handling so we can all collaborate together in between these calls and go from there. So thank you all for being on today. Sorry, I have to jump on to my next thing, but I
Thank you, Cameron.
appreciate y'all. Okay.
No
Great.
problem.
Good day, everybody.
Middle-
Enjoy.
Thank you.